right, welcome back everybody to the second installment of my new video series, Chasing Ghosts. In this series, I'm looking at impossible, hard to find, low print, just books you just don't see out there in your travels. All of them have different stories and reasons why you can't find them, and that's what I plan to look at here. And maybe a little bit of census information and maybe some prices and just a little bit of fun stuff, just a little bit of education for you guys on some of these impossible ghost comics out there. So hopefully you're liking the content. If you are, like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss any of the content that's dropping basically every day now. And please check out tomorrow. Marco and I are going to try to have a little fun, test the waters on doing a little live show. So if you're into that, want to have some fun talking about comics, please join us in the chat. It is going to be, a back and forth situation. So we definitely want the engagement of the audience. So if you want to have some fun, check us out tomorrow night, Wednesday, and keep an eye on my Instagram for more details on that. So that being said, just hang on for one more second, and we'll be right back with the books. All right, as I kind of teased in that opening, we are going to be tweaking the format just a little bit here. We're, gonna go with some of the viewer suggestions. I solicit information, I solicit feedback, and I definitely take it to heart and will act upon it if I agree with you guys. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments, whether it be on Instagram or here on YouTube. Just let me know what you like, what you don't like, and again, I will see what I can do. And a lot of times you guys make a lot of sense. So as an example of that, I got some suggestions for some books here. So, The Martian Comic Hunter, he gave me a suggestion that we're about to see in a little bit. And Cooper Hoover also suggested we do more than one book. So I'm doing that as well. And another one of suggested books is from DL3D Stuff. So 2 viewer suggestions, and then I got a third book that I pulled out to cover as well. So we're going to do 3 books this time, and hopefully you guys are going to find it interesting. So what's our first book? We're going to go with the Martian Comic Hunter suggestion, and this is Fearless Defenders number 4, a 1 in 50. Now, this series did not have a very high print run. There weren't a lot of people demanding a Fearless Defenders series to begin with, and to have a 1 in 50 with this, pretty cool Stephanie Hans cover, by the way. I've not seen this anywhere. I've not seen this in a shop, and this is something I've never come across in my travels. So I could definitely see why this is a book that one could consider a ghost. And going back to that low print run, the estimated print run for what I could find is about just under 25,000. So if this is a 1 in 50 and there are only 25,000 printed to begin with, the max number of copies we're talking about here is 500. 500 for an incentive variant that came out, over a decade ago, basically, is pretty tough. It's going to be tough to find because, again, this is a maximum amount of 500. You're not just saying for certain that's how many were made because, again, how many people were ordering 25 copies, not 25, 50 copies of Fearless Defenders number 4? I know the shops near me really weren't doing that. I don't know how many shops could. We're talking basically just big cities. And even if they did, how many over 50 were they ordering? So did they just get 1 copy, 2 copies of this? I don't know, but this is definitely not an easy to find book. And that's also backed up by the fact there are only 4 in the census. All 4 are 9/8, but there are only 4 in the CGC census for this book. So if they were out there, one would think more would have been subbed and submitted by this point. I mean, again, this is not a new book. This is not a recent book. This book has been out for years, and only 4 hit the census. So I would definitely say this one is definitely a ghost. And there's one up right now. When one of those 9.8s is listed, it's listed for $9,999. I'm not going to say any price these days is crazy because this market is crazy. I personally wouldn't consider spending nearly 10 grand for this book. And this is the only one out there. I mean, if you really want it, there it is. There's your option. You want one? There's your option. 10 grand. Not going to be for me, but it's out there if you are interested. There were none sold in the last 3 months going off of the eBay sales history, so I can't give you a real good comparable valuation on whether that 10 grand price is high or not. I would probably guess that it's a little high, but hey, you make your own calls and your own decisions. Me, I'm sitting that one out. But I don't think anyone can argue that this is a hard to find book, irregardless of that price. So, Fearless Defenders 4, the 1 in 50, the Stephanie Hans cover, fantastic, but definitely not an easy to find book, and definitely a ghost. So we're going to go on to another suggestion, and this was from DL3D Stuff, and they suggested another G.I. Joe book, which I take to heart, and Ben Stein's pick from our back nine for G.I. Joe last week. And Ben Stein also talked about this book a while back as well, and I think it might have been on one of his ghost article lists, and I've not seen this book. Never come across it in my travels. And this is the G.I. Joe Cobra number 19. I think it's a 1 in 10. I think it's a 1 in 10 incentive variant. So it's only 1 in 10, but never seen this thing. It's beautiful. I'd love to have one. I just love the makeup of this, the whole homage thing. I think it's a Jimi Hendrix thing. I just find it fantastic. Just the negative space of the blacks on Baroness there. It just makes this I just like staring at it. And I wish I could find this just like last week's Joe book. Man, 2 G.I. Joe books just kill me. 2 G.I. Joe books on this Chasing Ghosts first 2 episodes. Man. Anyway, what's the print run on this guy? This guy has only got an estimated print run of about 6,668 copies. That's it. And a 1 in 10? Well, you can do the math pretty easily on that too and say there's a max 667 out there. And I doubt there's that many made. But doing the math, that's the max that may be out there. So that's all I'm giving you. None of these numbers are definitive in any way. I'm just pulling these off of Comicron, and this is the information that we have. I've spoken to the owner of Comicron, John Jackson Miller, and he does what he can with the information that's provided. He checks multiple sources. It's an whole interesting process. I wish I knew a bit more about it, but that's what I'm working off of. So we're looking at the estimated print run of what was ordered by shops and how many potential incentive variants we might get out of that just by doing some basic math. 667 is not a whole lot. And again, not something I've seen. I've not seen this book. And we look at the census. There are only 4 total in the census. Again, like the last book, only 4. And these are scattered across 196, 194, 192, and 190. So there are no 9.8s and 1 of all the other 9.0 grades, basically 9.0, 9.2, 9.4, 9.6. Very interesting. Again, this is from 2012. It's a fantastic cover. It's 1 in 10. I just never see it. And if you want to buy one, good luck finding one. You're not going to find it on eBay, at least, because there's none listed right now. And you want to see how much it's been selling for? There's none been sold in the last 3 months either. So this is truly, ghost. Not out there. Not out there to be had or to be found. So if you find one, consider yourself lucky. And if you have one, just like last week, or the first book, the Stephanie Hans book. If you have one, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to see it. Share a pic, take a pic on Instagram, tag me. I'd love to see it. I love seeing this stuff and want to know what's out there. So if you have one, show it off. Be proud. Because again, tag me. I want to see it. So that being said, those were both viewer suggestions, both great suggestions. And occasionally I will take the viewer suggestions and work them in. I still have a laundry list of books that I want to cover, and one of those is coming up next. And I don't know. I think it's a little timely. We're getting a Loki series pretty soon, and this is a Loki book that I just don't see, all that often. And this is that Vote Loki #1. I think it's a 1 in 25 variant on this one. It's just one I just don't see it. I don't just think I saw it when it came out because my shops, again, around me, they didn't order that many copies. They weren't ordering 25 copies of Vote Loki. I mean, he's just not a character that was really a strong draw. Even his other solo series. It's just as much fun as he is in the MCU and on screen, comic book wise, it doesn't exactly translate, 1 for 1. So his popularity on the screen isn't maybe as strong in the comic book market. That being said, what are we looking at here? We're looking at an estimated print run of about, a little over 16,000. So a little over 16,000, you do the math on that for the 1 in 25, we're looking at about 655 maximum copies of this. Again, not a whole heck of a lot to work with there. When you're talking about all the different comic, shops across the country, the states, how many people had opportunities to get this, how many comic collectors in general are out there. only 655. There's not a whole lot to go around. So again, tough find, a tough book to track down. This one, again, not a whole lot in the census. It's got, what are we looking at? 8. There are a total of 8 in the census, with 3 of those being 9/8, and then a smattering of other books, to fill out that number 8. But again, 8, not a lot at all. Very, very few. And again, in today's market, in today's age, where everybody's subbing everything, one would think there'd be more than 8 copies of this book if there were a ton out there. But we're just not seeing them. Definitely just not seeing them. So if you want to buy one, there are copies out there. This one is not impossible to find. Not a whole lot. Again, don't get me wrong. There's not a lot of copies. And I just pulled, I think, the cheapest copy that's out there. So if you did want to grab a hold of this, this is about 190 bucks. And then with shipping and taxes, you're looking at over $200 for this thing, 125. And it is hard to find. There's not a whole lot of copies. There are only a handful, or a couple, and that is the cheapest one that I could find when I was doing my research on this. And when you look at what's sold, it's basically about the same. I mean, here's a 9/8 that's sold. I think the actual accepted price was in the 369 range, somewhere around there, so under 400, but still not bad. And the raws that I saw, again, not a whole lot. I think there was a couple were, again, in that like $200 range as well. So this has kind of been stabilized over the last month, few weeks, as we're approaching that Loki show. Has kind of moved in on that $200 kind of benchmark. I mean, that's where it's sitting. And who knows? I mean, this could just be forgotten about completely once the Loki show airs and we see that episode where we get that image of him from basically the Vote Loki series. I mean, that looks like it's an alternate version Loki of some kind, where he's running or ruling this weird dystopian society. I don't know. Who knows? It'll be a whole lot of fun to find out, but we'll see if this price holds and this book holds. Regardless of prices, that doesn't mean this book is any easier to find if you actually wanted one. So while I'm providing prices here, that's not what this show is all about. It's not all about prices. It's just more about the rarity in a sense of how hard these books are to find and things that I just have not seen myself. And if I haven't seen it, and I've been around the block a little bit, I've considered these books really hard to find. I mean, that's just me. So that's my last book for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and going off of all these numbers, I gotta say all 3 of these are, I would tag these as all as ghosts. So that's where we're at. 3 ghost books more for you to keep your eye out for and to take note of, and hopefully you're enjoying this series. I'm having fun doing it. Thank you again for stopping by and checking this out. Let me know any books that you think are impossible to find and you can't find. Time this Voltron book was impossible for me, and now I found one. Maybe I'll cover this in a later episode. I don't know. We'll see. But just having fun here. So hopefully you guys are too. Again, like the channel, sub, hit that alert button so you don't miss anything, and I will see you guys next time.